Hey, what's up, guys? You are now tuned in to Under the Rim with Kevin and Lawrence, and I'm Kevin.
I'm Laurence.
And we are just coming out of Silver Spring, Maryland right now, and we just wanted to talk about everything that's going on right now, current events wise, and just whatever, catches our eye. So going forward, that's what this show is going to be about. Did you want to say anything right now?
Yeah, so we've been friends for about 12 years now since middle school. We've had
Yes, sir.
a lot of conversations since then, and we wanted to start sharing them with you guys.
Absolutely. And, a lot of times we just go off the cuff. We don't really have any direction, obviously, that we want to take this. But today, there is something that caught my eye. I know it caught Lawrence's eye too on Twitter. And
Sir.
that was the J. Cole beef and the J. Cole no name kind of exchange that kind of went on there.
Yeah. So
Uh,
before we get into this, what did you know about No Name before this started?
all right, so before this whole thing started, the only thing that I knew about No Name was that she was a really talented female rapper, and honestly, that's kind of still all I know about No Name.
That's
But
it. Did you hear
no,
like
I was playing.
oh okay. Did you hear her like her features with like Chance and shit like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I first listened to her, I believe, on that Chance the Rapper song, "Lost." Have you heard that before?
Is it Lost? I thought it was like Cocoa Butter Kisses.
Nah,
It's
she's
on
not. She's
Acid
not.
Rap,
Yeah,
right?
it's on Acid Rap.
Yeah.
She's not on Cocoa Butter Kisses.
Yeah.
She's on Lost with Chance the Rapper. Have you ever heard the part like this? Like the hook.
Oh
She
no,
goes.
I've heard it. I've heard it.
You
Yeah,
heard that
yeah,
one?
it's a good ass
Okay.
song.
So she raps about
Yeah,
there on there
yeah,
obviously, and I come to find out she's all about female empowerment and everything, which is awesome. I'm all for that and everything. But I just what really caught my eye, I'm not gonna lie about her, was this recent I guess what do you call it, tiff she had with J. Cole. Was it a beef?
I think it's just the times that we're in right now. Like they're very emotional times, and it's just
Okay.
like with George Floyd, rest in peace. Breonna
Rest in
Taylor, rest in
peace.
peace. Ahmaud
R.I.P.
Avery, rest in peace.
Yes, sir.
Everybody else like black men, black women, black trans people that have been killed by the police, like rest in peace to all of them.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it's just it's a very emotional time that we're living in right now, and a lot of people feel like there are multiple ways to tackle the problem that we find ourselves faced with,
Yes, sir.
and sometimes people can see that shit in black and white. And I think No Name put out a tweet like, what are your favorite rappers doing or something like that, talking about like Kendrick and J. Cole, and
Right.
like a lot of people think that if you're not tweeting or posting about something, you're not
Right.
really doing anything. But it's like, we have photos of J. Cole out in where he lived, like North Carolina.
Right.
Yeah, like in North
Well, I
Carolina.
kind of wanted to speak on that. So
Yeah.
the whole thing is right is that the issue is that she found issue with the fact that a lot of these dudes, I'm not gonna try to say nigga right away. Uh, a lot of these dudes out here are pretty much about black empowerment and black plight and black issues in their music, but they don't really do anything about that in real life, right? So or on Twitter, right? That was the issue, right? Because the issue was where are they at? Why are they not tweeting, right? I
Mhm.
mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, yeah, it's that, and it's kind of like we live. It seems like we live in this time now where people don't see you constantly doing something. If you're not, like I said earlier, like if you're not posting it, then it pretty much doesn't exist. But it's like if Kendrick makes a whole album about this shit, and then he's never really been on, like, ever since he's really
Right.
blow up, he's never really been on social media like that unless he's
Right.
promoting an album. So it's like we got these entertainers and artists and stuff like that don't really be on social media in the first place. They're not going to
Right.
change up their whole, like, I don't know, their brand, like whatever, like
Yeah.
for what's going on right now. Like, they're gonna do what they do. And like,
Right.
you had Kendrick and J. Cole at the protest, like, really risking like serious injury, serious harm,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
at the protest with all the other regular people that were there as well.
Mhm.
So
And we're
it's
gonna
just
get. I
one of
mean,
them
we're gonna get
things.
into the protests later
Yeah.
too, and just how dangerous they were and stuff like that. But I mean, you see, these guys in the streets, and I know you have a different opinion than me on this, and that's why we're talking about it. But you see, J. Cole in the street, and you see Kendrick in the street. So for me, being a J. Cole fan, I will admit I'm a J. Cole fan. I just didn't understand why she would come at him sideways with the whole, "Oh, you're not tweeting," "Oh, da 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 da." I get that tweets are important these days, right? I mean, a tweet is like a virtual representation of your thoughts and ideas on the Twitter sphere and
Yeah.
on the internet. But it's like, why come at him a certain kind of sideways way where it's like you're trying to belittle his whole discography basically, because Didn't he just spend 10 years rapping about the Black Flight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, and again, like I think it's one of them things where it's just like it's a highly emotional time. So it's like I don't know if she was trying to come at this whole discography, but I do think that maybe it was ignored because people think like because entertainment can be so performative. Like people think like, oh, you rap about it, but you don't really be about it, and it's like I feel like he has these songs out. You know what I'm saying? Like he has
Right.
For Your Eyes Only, which is like pretty much like a whole album about that shit, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Um,
Neighbors.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's like he's lived this shit. Like he didn't grow up rich. Like I'm sure he's been like
No.
like he's been in that stuff, and he knows what it's like to be harassed by the police and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. And then at the same time, you got him making music about this, and then you got photos of him out at the
Right.
protest with I think Dennis Smith Jr., who's also from that area.
Absolutely.
So it's just like
and I'm trying to clarify something real quick. By
Yeah.
no means do I think, God forbid if No Name listens to this. By no means do I think that that No Name grew up rich or privileged or anything. That she grew up with opportunity or anything like that. And she's doing wonderful things with her book club and posting about things on Twitter and just bringing attention to these things and the education of the people that of the people and by the people that really need it. So she's trying to pretty much show people and uplift people who are kind of being oppressed by the system that be, right? So I love what she's doing, man. I just, when it came to her calling out niggas on Twitter, I was like, is it necessary? And now we can talk about, was the response necessary? Like, was what J. Cole did? Because I'm a J. Cole fan. I'll say maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't necessary. But what do you think?
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like one of them like read the room things. But I understand, like, he's been out there doing the thing, and I understand he felt like he was targeted and all that kind of stuff, him along with, like, Kendrick maybe or somebody else. But it's like, I think it's one of them things where it's like, what you're doing, and that you're doing the right thing, even though he said, like, he feels fake in a way. So maybe he felt insecure, but it's like, if you out there in the protest, I don't know if he was donating money, but I'm sure, like, he was doing the right thing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He was in the mix. He was with the people.
Right.
And it's kind of like, it's just one of them things where it's up to you. If you want to respond, you can respond. But I do think they probably should have held it in just because of how...
They should have kept it in the DMs.
Yeah, he should have kept that shit in the notes app because it's just like... That's not what we needed right now.
Nigga.
Yeah.
What?
And then, it's kind of like, like I know we were talking about it before. Like I remember on Twitter that day, I couldn't even be on Twitter that day because it was just like that shit was just like a fucking whirlwind.
That shit was hectic.
That was a hell day on Twitter, bro. people didn't know where to go.
That shit was the Twitter civil war.
Yeah, because like to be real, like woke beef is like the wackest beef you could ever have in your life. That's whack. So,
well, the thing that really gets me is we're all on the same side, nigga. Like we want the same thing.
Yeah, and it's just like, after a while you kind of start picking at like what's the best way to go about it.
Right.
And then I think that's where like people kind of get divided and they're like, oh nah, you're a coon.
Right.
Because like you don't want to go it this way and stuff like that. But I do think at the same time, I know the big issue is that, you can't commend somebody's message and then like on J Cole's part, you can't commend somebody's actions or message and then say like, but watch your tone. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but here's the thing. Here's my thing. What's your beef with the content of the song? Do you have any beef with the content of the song?
You mean like the lyrics?
The lyrics, the even let's include the watch your tone part, but let's really just take the song for the big picture of what it really is. What's your beef with the content?
No. The song of the big picture was tough. Like, I texted you like 2 a.m. or something, like when I woke up and I heard the jump. It's like, it's a tough song, but then like when I kind of came down with it and like you kind of hear like when you like start like looking at it more closely and like hear
you see the shots fired.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, I'm sure he didn't mean it in any kind of way, which, most of these people never do, but it's just like, you got to be careful. Like there's like Drake versus Meek Mill, where it's just like two men like going at each other, like, like Drake versus Pusha T. But it's like, if you're gonna send shots, I don't even know if he was really sending shots, but
I don't think he was.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, and then people are when you put that out, who people are gonna think it's about, because most likely that's who you wrote it about in your head. So it's like, and then he said like young lady and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, if you know you're talking about a black woman,
Mm-hmm.
especially like as a black man, you just gotta know like
Okay.
you shouldn't. If you're gonna talk about tone,
okay,
then you never want to tone police a black. You never want to tone police a disadvantaged group on
right.
like how
And
they should express their rage and pain and shit like that.
so, I guess you know I'm speaking from a position of privilege. I'm not a black woman, and I don't know how it feels to be tone policed. Right? I don't know what that feels like to maybe have everything I say just be, maybe looked at through a certain lens, and the lens is, a lens of disrespect or a lens of devaluing because people are thinking, I'm coming across a certain way because the color of my skin. So I don't know that. But my whole issue with the whole tone policing thing, right, is if you look at the core of what he was saying and really what he was trying to get across in this song. And the song is, if you guys haven't heard it, it's called Snow on the Bluff. You guys should definitely hear it by now. If you haven't heard it, just as a song, it's really good. But if so, the core of what he was really trying to get across is we should all watch how we talk to other people about the plight. That was the thing about the song is it wasn't. I didn't take it as a shot at No Name. I just took it as a look, man. He was trying to say, look, I don't know if I'm educated. I don't know if I'm up on this stuff like how I should be, especially not how I pretend to be. I'm not saying J. Cole's pretending, but I'm saying he might not be on the level to where he even wants to be. But I'm saying the bigger thing that I'm saying is the song had a positive message. I think it was intended in a positive way, and people on Twitter took it and twisted it and turned it into a diss track and turned it into something like he was trying to belittle or demean this really intelligent, really powerful woman, and it just didn't. Something about that didn't sit right with me because I've sat with J. Cole's music. I've listened to J. Cole's music. J. Cole's music has pretty much brought me through some of the darkest times in my life. And a lot of his music, most of his music is very uplifting. It's almost like he wants better for you than you want for yourself at times. And that I get how that can be kind of pretentious in a way because you're thinking, well, this dude doesn't even know me, so it almost sounds like he's coming off as like holier than thou, and he wants he wants something for somebody that he's not even good enough to acquire for himself, if that makes sense. But I just thought that he was trying to make a larger statement about how we should talk to one another, how we should converse with one another, how we should try to understand one another. And what fucking No Name stands on Twitter did, and they're probably gonna hate me for this, but they took it and just completely turned and twisted the message around from a positive statement to a negative statement and trying to make it into a diss when it really wasn't. That was my whole thing. Is it wasn't ever a diss. But tell me what you think.
Yeah, and I think Cole tried to do a lot of things, but he ain't really doing them the right way. He should have just read the room.
Right.
It might have not been a diss, but it was definitely a message, and it was definitely aims at No Name because like people interpret that shit, and it's like if you got all these people pretty much figuring out that it's at No Name, most likely it's at No Name. And I think No Name tweeted something about like Queen Tone or something like that. I didn't see the tweet.
Right. She took it down. I saw it.
Yeah, I didn't really see it, but like I saw like screenshots and shit like that, so I didn't get to see the replies or nothing like that. But it's like, I think Cole probably had good intentions, but it's one of them things where it's like it just would have been better off if he just didn't say anything at all because like, and I'm not even saying like No Name doesn't need Cole or anything like that. Like No Name has her own career, she's making her own waves, leaving her own legacy and all that kind of shit. But it's like when a rapper of like J. Cole's stature, which is like J. Cole's been doing this for like at least 10 years, I think. So like he's like he's pretty much like as high as you can be when it comes to rap, and so like he's like right up there, like maybe like a level or so below, but like Drake. But it's like when you hear J. Cole, you know who that is. But like not that many people know No Name, so it's like there was really no reason, unless J. Cole's like pride was hurt or something like that, for him to really even come out with this song. So it's like the only thing he did by putting that out was just get more eyes on No Name. I'm not saying No Name shouldn't have eyes, but it's like
I get
it was
you.
a losing battle.
I get you. I do want to disagree where you said that the only thing that he did was put more eyes on No Name. I think you were right in saying that he could have. I mean, everybody was right in saying this. He could have just handled this in the DMs. He didn't have to make a song. He didn't have to publicize this whole thing.
Yeah, he didn't even have to DM her.
No, I mean he didn't have to acknowledge it at all because we know what J. Cole's doing. J. Cole knows what J. Cole's doing, and that's all that really matters. You know, at the end of the day, he's about this shit. He has a foundation. He's donating money,
and nobody was even like. besides her, like, you know, saying like, what are your favorite rappers doing?
Right.
Like nobody was saying like, where's J. Cole, where's Kendrick at? Because like people were saying like,
Right.
if you want to know where they're at, just listen to their music.
Right.
And there were photos of them in the streets.
But that's the problem that, you know, I'm not a J. Cole stan, but that's the problem that J. Cole stans have with it.
You
Is
got
that,
alright J. Cole stan.
well,
you got alright J. Cole
well, that's debatable. I don't know. I don't even really fuck with his like early shit, like the warm up. Nah, I don't be fucking with the warm up though.
I mean, In the Morning by featuring Drake is still his best song though.
No, it's not.
In the Morning.
Are you saying that as a fact?
Yeah, as a fact.
That's not true.
Especially when Drake's part come on.
That's
and
one
like,
of his worst songs.
Probably like his second best song is probably like Crooked Smile.
I swear to God, you're just trying to make me mad.
Nah, dead ass. That's
you're
like,
trying to get me
if
upset.
I'm listening to Cole, that's what
you're trying to get me heated. Okay, I see how it is. Okay. Earl's best song is Chum.
All right.
Nah, Earl's best song. What's that joint that came out in 2012? Earl Sweatshirt. 2012.
Like
what?
when we were in high school, like that first Earl tape.
Yeah, before you really even listened to it.
Yeah, I couldn't mess with them back then. Probably Epar.
But the song though, Epar was a single.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Wait,
I was
single. It was like he shot the music video for it and everything.
Yeah, the one with like while he was still odd feature pretty much. Like,
yeah.
What was that joint called? See, you play yourself a Jake. I mean, Earl Sweatshirt Stan. You can't even remember.
Nah, I'm not. I told you, everybody knows I wasn't fucking with like that.
Yeah,
back in the day. Shit. That shit was too much for me. But
well, his shit nowadays kind of weird too. But anyways,
but his shit today is relatable. He's the best rapper out, bro. Nobody has.
That's not factual.
Nobody has wordplay like Earl. Nobody gets to the root of it like Earl.
That's not factual.
You were just listening to The Whole World the other day, and you told me you were feeling that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good song. Everybody has their good songs.
Yeah.
You know, Tame Impala has good songs.
Everybody loves Tame Impala now, bro.
Like, everybody? Do you love Tame Impala? Because
I have no opinion. I have like they're cool. Like,
right.
I have no opinion. But like, have you noticed how like Tame Impala has become like the band?
Well, they're a brand.
No, the band.
What do you mean?
Like just everybody like after like Rihanna did Same Old Mistakes, like everybody's fucking. I'm not even saying they're bad, but like they just blew up out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Not really. I mean,
were you fucking with them before?
I was fucking with them before.
Before?
Wait, when did the Rihanna song come out? I still haven't even heard it. But
I say it was on her album Anti. It came out like 2016. It's a good ass
album. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then
so like she covered the song Same Old Mistakes, and then Tame Impala started getting like a lot of like traction and shit like that. Yeah. But I don't know the name of their front man, but like he's like
the guy with the long hair.
Yeah, like he's already solid in the industry. Like I'm pretty sure he was like producing on like I think he was like working with Kanye or something.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like you know, like we don't know about all these bands and stuff like that, but like the people in the industry, like Kanye.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, Childish producer.
Childish's producer.
He's getting in there too. Like it's just like people are just coming up, and that shit is dope. Yeah. But no, I mean like I was saying though, it's just like Tame Impala just became like everybody's band out of nowhere. And they're dope. They're dope.
They're a good band.
Yeah, like they're
a good band. Hold that thought though. I want to just real quick jump back to the plight, man, the struggle right now, everything that's going on in these streets. Just real quick, man, just to wrap up the J. Cole. You know, I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything, but was it poorly timed? Probably. Yeah. Could it have been the DMs? Yes.
He didn't even have to acknowledge it, bro.
He didn't have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, he like revived it.
Yeah. Was the message poorly received though? Like, did the no name stands kind of go, wait a second, and then flip it into something it wasn't?
I feel like I don't know, bro. I feel like the message was kind of like the way I look at it is like, I've kind of always been like, I don't want to say I've always been like this. Like I've definitely had my flaws, right? But it's like I've noticed, and this isn't a diss, but it's just like I've noticed like some black men, like it's like because like we're black men, but we're still men. Right. And I've noticed some black men talk to black women crazy, right? And it's like when I equate that to like how I've had like how I've seen white people talk to black people, or like how I've seen like how I've experienced like white people talk to me. That's sometimes what
you
it seems
see similarities.
Like. Yeah, that's sometimes what it seems like, and I don't know if it's intentional. I'm sure sometimes it is. I'm sure sometimes it isn't. Just like this hierarchical whatever structure that we have in this world that we live in. But it's like I just feel like I understand his message, but it was just one of them things that didn't have to be said because again, this was a lose-lose situation for him. Well,
that kind of brings me into kind of our next topic, which is kind of the society at large right now, and I mean the black society, of course. And the issue of like black women versus black men. I saw a lot of misogyny, you know, by self-proclaimed J. Cole stands. I saw a lot of misogyny on Twitter. Of just, you know, this shit went over your head and you didn't really get it. And this back and forth also just between men and women that I just feel is so prevalent right now.
Yeah.
You know, this back and forth of misogyny and the male word for misogyny, which I can't remember, misandry.
It's like it's like misandry or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I just
It's
saw
low-key not even like
that's not a
for real.
yeah. I don't know if that's a real thing as a concept. I just
it is, but it's like one of them things where it's just like I don't know.
I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. I just think I think misogyny. Obviously, misogyny is a real. It's a very real thing. Yeah. But so the problem that I have with this whole thing is he makes a song that's questionable whether or not he should have made a song. She makes a reply. Then it becomes this thing where now we're beefing with each other about who is right, who is wrong. Should one person have made a song? And we're not focused on the true enemy or the true opponent, which is combating systemic racism. White people. I mean,
no, I'm joking.
Not all white people.
I'm joking.
I mean, for real though. But you know, obviously not all white people, but just, you know, the ones who are running shit, the ones with power, the ones with institutional power, the ones in the criminal justice system.
Really the ones that just play into this system that we live in. Yeah,
exactly.
Like as a whole, like systems of white supremacy or like whatever other system we're looking at, like they don't give a fuck about individuals. Like they'll accept the individuals that play into it, and those that don't will be removed, and the system will remain strong. But I didn't mean to cut you off. So.
Oh no, you're straight. I was just gonna talk about how it's just people, you know, in power, in positions of power, and people in law enforcement, and that's why the big thing right now is to try to reform law enforcement and to try to you know, fix the system that has been broken and perpetuating the school to prison pipeline for the longest time, and just the prison industrial complex, and you know, just making sure that we keep ourselves and in our society. Pretty much what they're trying to do is keep us you know, oppressed by taking, you know, our most powerful people and taking, you know, people from us that we, you know, we should have in our community, and we should, these guys should be leaders, you know, but they're turning them into villains, you know. And
wait, what guys you mean?
I just think just black men in general, man. I just think that, you know, black women should be leaders too, of course, but I just think that, you know, the prison industrial complex is obviously unfairly balanced towards black men. You know, they take a they'll have a depiction of a white guy down to the, you know, the color of his fingernails, or the, you know, the everything. But when it comes to a black man that commits a crime, it's just, you know, black suspect, medium build, you know, 5'7" to 6'3". So yeah, you know, so obviously, you know, that gives them a lot of leeway to go and approach people that they have no business approaching, you know, or escalating situations. So, you know, that's my thing right now, is we're focused too much on this interracial, how we should talk to one another, which we should always be cognizant of how we should talk to one another. But, you know, right now we're too focused on black men versus black women, whereas we should be focused on maybe solving the greater or addressing the greater issue at large.
Maybe. Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's necessarily black man versus black women. I think it's like, and, you know, I've read some books, but I don't claim to be an expert at all. But it's like, I feel like sometimes we have this problem of thinking like that all black people want what we want, and sometimes, like, you know, like when we talk about black culture, like who's really black,
all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I think sometimes we treat black culture and stuff like that as a monolith, and it's like, you know, not every, like you said, not every skin folk kinfolk, and it's like not every black person grew up the same way.
Yeah. So
it's like
Candace Owens.
Yeah, and it's like I don't even know how she grew up, but like obviously, like at some point, some path took her in a different direction. So it's like you can't always expect every black person to agree with you just because they're black. Like you don't know their name, you don't know where they're from, you don't know what experiences they have,
values, morals they have.
So it's like I feel like when we get into these type of things, you know, so often, so many times we've seen, you know, so many leaders that were black women. There was that one 19-year-old girl that was sexually assaulted and killed last week, and I feel really bad for not being able to remember her name on the top of my head. But
was it Aluya? You talking about Aluya? Sheesh, Aluwa Tosin.
Down in Florida, and it's like she was definitely, like, she was a young leader, but like she was leading.
Aluwa Toyin Salau.
Yeah, and she was out there. Yeah, rest in peace. And she was out there. leading the protests and stuff like that. It's just like, we've often had, so many black women leading for us. Like if you want to go back to like Fannie Lou Hamer,
Yep.
all the way back to like even slavery times, Harriet Tubman,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. Like we've had leaders, and it's just like
Ida B. Wells.
Yeah, and I I've seen personally like black women just feeling like us as men aren't standing up for them the way that they're standing up for, because like they obviously got our back. Like
right.
Obviously like when we do leave, they're right behind us. Like sometimes going harder than we are. So
Always,
it's like I understand. Yeah, it's like I understand like where they're coming from and stuff like that. And again, like like I was raised by black women and all that kind of stuff, and it's like
me too.
Yeah, so it's like I know, and like I feel like I've made a conscious effort to like really understand understand the power that I have. Is like even though I'm black, I'm still a man, so it's like I have some privilege in that
yeah, you have a lot of privilege. Yeah, just as being a man.
Yeah, so it's like I try not to think of it as black men versus black women. Like obviously there are people that like to go on Twitter and make these big bold statements that's going to get them attention and all that kind of stuff, and like cause controversy because like people want engagements and social medias, everything.
Well, one thing I'll counter back on real quick is just what we say on Twitter. It's ironic because it matters as much as we would like it to matter. Like what I'm trying to say is on the one hand I feel like it matters as much as we would like it to matter, but on the other hand I feel like no, it actually has credence. Like it actually really matters.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like that balance,
right? Because the thing is like we verbalize these thoughts into this electronic device and we put it out there into the internet, and then when we put our electronic device, it's almost like we can forget about it, and we can kind of ignore it, but it exists. Like it has matter. Like
that's
actually
how people be getting caught up on like tweets from like 2000.
Hell
like,
yeah,
losing their jobs. And
hell
like
yeah. And it's but more than that, it exists not just in a physical sense, in the sense that it's taking up data on a hard drive somewhere in Nebraska, but
there's computer science over here.
Yeah, but but just the fact that it exists in the universe, wherever thoughts exist, wherever you believe that your thoughts occupy space or occupy matter, if you believe that somewhere, then it exists there. So it's not completely meaningless what we say on Twitter, and that's why when I say black women versus black men, a lot of it I see online, but there's substance there. There's these are real people. These are real people's thoughts, and
they are real people's thoughts. But like the one thing that like I even gotta like remind myself of this is like people get to talking on Twitter and like they may believe it in some way, but like how people say like they only like that on Twitter. Yeah, and I'm not saying like I know T, like they're not really about what they're talking about.
They're not really hard in real life.
Yeah, but it's like, and I'm sure that they are, but it's like when you meet these people in like person, unless they're like somebody that's like just really rooted in like what they say, like they don't want to talk, they don't want to have a conversation, like they don't want to like really see what's up. Like when you meet them in person, like they cool people, and it's cool. Like and it's just like I feel like when it comes to social media and like you're just talking to like however many followers you have or whoever stumbles across your page, we have like this tendency to like talk in like these big sweeping generalizations and stuff like that. Right. Because people be like, oh, like like black men don't have our back, yada yada yada. Like I don't know if you saw it. Like I don't watch these videos; they're just too disturbing. Like I don't watch the killing videos or like nothing like that.
You didn't see George Floyd?
Nah.
Are you serious?
No, I don't watch any of them, bro. I didn't watch Ahmaud. I didn't watch the guy Rayshard Brooks, the one that was shot in the back.
That one was tough to watch too.
I don't think I've watched the video since Eric Garner. Like, that's kind of it for me.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, so, I mean, like they die at the end, so it's like.
I mean, and it's sad and tragic.
Like, I'm not trying to like, have my.
Who knows what kind of trauma we've honestly encountered from that?
Yeah, so it's just like one of them things where it's just like, people are fed up, and it's just like, I get where they're coming from.
But you know that this, even though you haven't watched it, you know that this one was particularly bad with George Floyd, right? You know how different it was.
I've seen like the stills. Like I've seen. I don't remember the cop's name, but I've seen old boy like kneeling on his neck. Like,
this one was different.
Yeah, like I've seen the stills. Like I can imagine they're all awful.
They're all awful. They're all awful. But I'm saying like this one was so bad. You had people like in uniform going, nah. Like,
and it's like when you think about it, like the killing of black people or other minorities, but like honestly, especially black people, is the only time where like you can see like fucking murder, like when murder is primetime TV.
Yes.
Like you have on the news and shit like that. Like you have like people will talk about it. They're like, oh, like person killed in Southeast or like some shit like that. Or, like person killed in Bethesda. Right. But it's like the only time like you really see somebody just get like fucking like just killed like in a fucking disgusting way, unless you're like on the fucking internet somewhere, is like when a black person is murdered by a police officer or by like some wannabe.
It's like they have no respect for our lives.
Yeah, and it's like
they just don't care.
Yeah, and it's just like one of them things where it's like at least for me, I'm not trying to speak for nobody else, but at least for me, like growing up black, like I think the first person I really remember like getting done like that was Oscar Grant in like 2008 when we were like 13. And I remember like my mom showed me the video, and back then I was like, like it kind of sat with me, but like I was young.
It didn't hit you like that.
Yeah, it was young, so I probably just told you to like get on skate or something like that. We probably played, but like I definitely remembered it though. Like it definitely hit me, but like now that I get older and like I know there was Oscar Grant, then there was Trey, and not to like jump over any other deaths, but there was Trayvon.
It's the big one.
Yeah, Jordan Davis, Michael Brown, like just Eric Gardner, like all these people, and it's like it's almost just like American tradition, and as sad as that
it's ingrained in our culture.
Yeah, and it's just like another one. Like they said, there have been 120 police shooting deaths since George Floyd. Right. And it's like we've only heard about maybe like 2 or 3 of them since then.
Right.
So, I get that people are fed up and oftentimes we start lashing out at each other. But, I try not to take offense to like sweeping generalizations like, black men don't care about black women, because while there are a lot of black men out there that don't really give a fuck if they're doing right by black women, I know that me myself, and I feel pretty comfortable in saying like, like my people, like my friends and stuff like that. Right. Like, we we have black women's best interests in heart and stuff like that. I know, at least for me personally, like, I don't claim to be perfect or nothing like that, but like one thing I can always take pride in is like, I feel like I always am listening, and I've never been like like to disqualify black women's thoughts and stuff like that. I feel like I always like I'm willing to take it in, like whether it's like a girl that I'm dating, a family member, or some girl off the street, like just somebody that I just met, like so I feel like a lot of people take offense, but it's like nobody's saying you got to be perfect. Just be willing to listen and like do better than what you were doing before. That's really all you can ask.
And taking it back to the criminal justice system too, and the reason why people are so upset, and the reason why people are so fed up, is because of the way that the cops are treated and the way that the system is structured when they commit crimes. Because I'm not saying that all cops are bad or that all cops do this type of shit. But the thing that really irks me is when you start to try to talk to somebody about this on the other side of the aisle, and they go, well, that's bad, but at the same time, what about black on black crime? Black on black murder.
Yeah, they love statistics.
The only thing that you need to say in not in defense, in the opposite thing that you need to say in counter to that is when a black man kills a black man, they are hunted down, criminalized, villainized, taken to jail, and sometimes killed. Yeah. When a white cop kills a black man, there is nowhere near the same amount, if any, of justice at all. Yeah, it's almost like they get a free pass, they get a vacation, they get to relocate, move to Disneyland, maybe get a job somewhere else doing the same damn thing. And you see that these guys a lot of times are the same type of guy in that they have a violent history, they have a violent criminal or not criminal but complaint record, and they possibly have shot people before. And it's not until one of them gets recorded that we finally like look up and say, oh wait, like they did something wrong. But it's been going on, it keeps going on. And people, like I said, conservatives always go, but it's like, no, we prosecute our own, and y'all prosecute us, but y'all never want to give us the same justice when it's one of y'all that's killing us. And that's what people, I think, are most upset. That's what I'm most upset about, is the injustice there, the inequity there. And I want you to speak on that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's like police off I don't know, police departments, or like police whatever it's called, like it's like they have the best job security in the world. It's like no matter what you do, like they're gonna back you up, what I'm saying? And to me that's crazy, and maybe I just don't have like the mind of a police officer, because like I was telling my friends from school, it's like I feel like if I was a cop after George Floyd, I'd be on my best behavior. Like I would not want to like.
And they still out here killing people,
exactly.
Bro.
And that's my thing. It's like Rayshard Brooks. Like I didn't watch the video, but like I've heard enough, and it's like people say like it was like 30 minutes long, and the conversation was like really calm, really chill, like a conversation with a cop with another human being should be. Like just explain what's going on. Like he was parked in the. I understand like maybe he was drunk or whatever, but like you didn't run up on him when he was driving. Like he was asleep in a car. So it's like, if anything, you stopped something bad from potentially happening. Like you should, I don't know, fucking feel good about yourself or whatever. And then like apparently he was saying like like, don't arrest me, just get me an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
Mm-hmm.
you could have got him an Uber, or even took
Mm-hmm.
his phone and ordered an Uber on his own phone if you didn't want to pay for it. And
Hey
then
man,
like,
in a just society, you could have taken him
yeah,
home.
like
I
there's
mean,
so
you
much.
took Dylan Roof to Burger King. You could have took him home.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Like
You could have took him
they
home.
honestly could have just put him in the car, in the cop car, and just took him home. And then like, I don't know, he comes to his car in the morning.
Especially
like
now,
yeah.
it's the thing. The thing about it is the
Mhm.
complete lack of like awareness
Yeah.
of where we're at socially right now. You know, there's a heightened sense
Yeah.
of, and that's not the only reason to do
Yeah.
right, but you know that there's a heightened sense of like
But that's what I'm
alertness.
saying though. Like if I was a cop and I saw what happened to George Floyd and how people stood outside, I don't know, old boy's house and like
Right.
made sure he was arrested.
I would do anything I can not to
Yeah,
kill
like
him.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's like not like you were saying, like you should do the right thing regardless. But if you know that you got extra attention on you
Man.
because of your profession or because of whatever, you
Right.
should be trying harder to do
Right.
even better. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what he was going through his mind.
And
like I
and
said,
that's
but
that's
it's like,
where
you
that's
can't
where
just shoot him and think you
yeah,
get away
and
with
that's
that.
where we don't know if it's what is it, a power trip? We
Yeah.
don't know. You know, we can't just assume that every cop is a bad guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a lot of, you know, I don't know what power does to people. I've never been in that position of power. I've never had a badge and a uniform and a gun. And people look to me for safety, and people look to me, and I can put somebody away off of pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that feels
I
like.
think the thing to remember though is like, you know, just like every white person's not a bad person, every cop's not a bad person. It's the system that they operate in that gives them these advantages.
Right.
And it's like, you know, obviously, like I was talking about sweeping generalizations earlier, like obviously every cop is not a bad person.
Right.
But it's like they participate in this system where they can get away with some things that, like, you know, if you go shoot somebody in the back, like you're gonna go to jail. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like
There's no way I
participate-
don't.
Yeah.
There's
So
not a chance.
they participate in this system,
Yep.
and it's like they can get away with it because of that. So like that's I don't want to call it privilege, but like I guess that's another extension of like white supremacy, like protect and serve. Like police are not protecting and serving us, like they're protecting and serving, you know, the people, like the white system and shit like that, like the people that they're actually supposed to protect. And like to them, like, you know, killing another black man, black woman, or black trans person is protecting and serving their community. Because to them that's all, you know, one more whatever off the streets and shit like that. But it's like,
well, so talking about the system, people will always ask me like, well, so what can be done, or like what, you know, because is the system really racist, and if so, what are you advocating? Well, you got to think about like the system. If we're talking about like the laws in place, the Constitution, the local laws, state laws, and federal laws, a lot of these things, you know, the 13th Amendment didn't outlaw slavery. You know, as you know, it just made it to where you have to be convicted of.
I'm not gonna lie, I was about to ask you what the 13th Amendment said.
Of a crime first. Man, Mr. Xavier had to ask me about the 13th Amendment.
I wasn't expecting you to go there. I was like, oh wait.
But yeah, you know, like so it didn't outlaw slavery. It just made it to where you have to be committed of a crime first, and that's where, you know, we talk about the system, and you go, well, how is the system? People always go, how is the system skewed in any way? Well, you have the residue of a system that allowed for slavery. You have the residue of laws in place that allowed for Jim Crow. You have the residue of redlining. You have the residue of a system that disproportionately affected the amount of loans, home loans, business loans, and otherwise that Black Americans were allowed to get.
You read some books?
I've been reading everything, man. No, I just been thinking, man. And so when you have the combination of this stuff, you have a lot of people on YouTube. You have a lot of Ben Shapiro type folks who go, well, if you look at the statistics, you know, you see that there is a higher percentage of Black single motherhood, less education among Black males, and these are all contributing factors to people who will occupy a lower class structure. And you never hear these guys go into the laws that were in effect that happened to contribute to the factors that, you know, really perpetuate this cycle of Black poverty. And that's really the issue, right? Is without poverty, with poverty, you're powerless, right? Because if there was more Black people with money and clout, we would have more power.
Not necessarily though, because we'd still be under a capitalist system.
Right. We're still under a capitalist system, but you got to assume that a couple more Black owned or represented corporations would have better intentions for Black people. At the end of the day, it is all about the dollar. But You got to assume that with more black people in power, that, you know, like we said before, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, but we got to think, you know, we would at least be, more better represented, you know, our
Hopefully,
culture and stuff like that.
yeah.
So people always go, well, you know, black on black crime, da 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 da. All you got to think about is just the things that led to black on black crime: the war on drugs, mass incarceration, just pretty much like the foundation of these gangs by like external forces and stuff that really these gangs, a lot of these gangs started out as just ways to combat the government, and evolved from that because of outside influences. You got to think about all these things that are pretty much correlating into making it a pretty much unfair system for the people at the bottom. And that's why when we say systemic injustice, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the history, and we're talking about the culmination of the history that creates a system now. So, you know, that's what, you know, what do you think about all that?
I feel like I get what you were saying about like leaders and like, you know, rich black people and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like the only chance, and like, again, I'm not well versed on everything, but I feel like the best chances we've had for real improvement came with Malcolm X and with the Black Panthers. And it's like, you know, you saw what the police, I mean, not with the police, like honestly with this whole country, like every agency did to the Black Panther, like pretty much decimated them. And like, you know, they were doing free breakfast programs, like they were making sure that kids learn, like they were giving people opportunities, and like, nah, the government was like, nah, we can't have that shit. So they destroyed that shit, and then the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X, like straight up. Once Malcolm X pretty much left the nation because he felt like the women should be treated better, the nation pretty much just disbanded him and said, "No, you gotta go." So it's like we've had chances for real advancement, and the eradication of those chances have come sometimes from Black people, and they've also come from white people and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily think that participation in a capitalist system that was built off the backs of Black people is the answer to our liberation, for lack of a better word. I don't.
You think uprooting the system is the key?
I feel like I feel like really addressing the system and really changing shit is the only way we can really get some shit done. Because like, look at like Beyonce and Jay-Z. It's like they're rich. And, like, they've done, you know, they've definitely done things to help us
for sure.
But I mean, like, you know,
they're not riding for us like they really should.
I don't even want to say that, but it's just like, you got to watch what you say about like Beyonce and stuff like that.
I wish she would come for me, bro. Beyonce, what's up?
I don't want that.
Beyonce, what's up?
But it's
she gonna put the Illuminati hex on my ass.
Nah, but she'll just send normal people after.
Regular.
But it's just like, like when Jay-Z took that job with the NFL, right? I think it was like chief diversity officer or something like that. And it's like, you know, you're taking a job with the NFL when Colin Kaepernick is still Black.
To me, that's like the king, like that's the king token Black shit to do.
Yeah,
on the part of the NFL.
And it's like Jay-Z is a legend, and it's crazy because
was a legend. I don't know about him anymore.
Well, and I mean, I don't know. It's like one of those things where, like, you know, I always say you got to judge somebody as like a whole and not just like the bad thing
or what they're doing presently.
Because like so many people just want you to say like, oh, he did this one bad thing, he's trash. So like Jay-Z's done like a lot of great things. He's paid like a lot of legal fees for like a lot of people that couldn't afford it. He helped get Meek out of jail, and so is Beyonce. Beyonce's done a lot of great things. Like, all these people have done great things, but at the same time, it's like capitalism is not the answer, because capitalism doesn't exist. America isn't the number one country in the world without, you know, slavery and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Slavery,
absolutely not.
Slavery is like peak capitalism. So it's just like,
let's hold on. Let's sit on that for a second. Let's just think about that. You just dropped a gem right there. Yeah. America isn't the number one nation in the world without slavery.
They're actually about to like lose that shit to China too, which is like why Trump's going crazy.
So when we talk about when we talk to conservatives and they say, well, why not make America great again, or why not keep America great? We're the number one nation in the world right now. Think about why we're the number one nation in the world right now. Think about what we did. It's not even just slavery. It's just our history of imperialism, all the countries that we've conquered.
And if you want to take it back, like almost no country in the world, like America, England, France, like all those like first world countries that people love and like romanticize and all that kind of stuff. Like none of those countries are great without Africa, to be honest.
Colonialism.
Yeah, like none of those countries are great without Africa. It's just like not to like harp on the same subject, but it's just like capitalism, while it's nice, like, you know, everybody wants to have money, everybody wants to be able to buy like the Rolex and get the Corvette and like get the Bentley and all that kind of shit. But it's
I know you want the Corvette.
Bro, I want the 2020. But it's just like you know, buying
Tesla
in
too.
buying into the system doesn't. I don't know. It's like if I get rich,
Yeah.
I can donate, and donations are good. But
Yeah.
it's just like that's not gonna get true liberation in the way that we need, and I don't even know if that can be achieved in this country.
And then yeah, that's a whole another topic on its own. But and then the fact that all these companies now, due to capitalism, due to the popularity of BLM, want to come out in support of BLM. We see through that shit. I see through that shit. That shit is fake. That shit is flawed. Like I don't really see how. Now the NFL, for example, wants to be like, we were wrong.
That's the wackest shit ever.
Like, you know what? At least have the courage of your conviction and be like, nah, we don't fuck with you niggas,
bro. My thing about the NFL is like, I don't give a fuck about what the NFL anybody has to say until Colin Kaepernick either has a position,
right,
or maybe he gets too old and they just say.
See, the thing about Colin is I don't even know if he wants to play anymore.
Nah, he wants to play. He loves football. He wants to play.
For real?
Yeah, he loves football, bro. He wants to play.
I mean, yeah, he loves football. I mean, he went pro, but like, I don't even know if he, because for all the bad they've done, they gave him a flawed workout, yes, but they gave him a workout. I don't know. He didn't show up. I don't know. I can't really speak on Cap's true intention. I love what he's doing. I think he's a martyr. I think he's becoming a martyr.
It's like the closest thing we have to like Muhammad Ali.
For sure. But I don't know if he really still wants to play. Maybe he does.
Yeah. I feel like he would. I feel like he would, because I feel like that's like that full circle shit. And like at this point,
he would look great if he played again.
And like I don't know how good he is. Like
I don't care how he plays. He would just look great.
I don't know football like that, but it's just like
it'd be like he overcame.
Yeah, and it's just like, shit. But at this point, it's kind of like one of them things where you were saying like companies supporting Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I feel like they're only supporting it right now because like we've been saying Black Lives. I think since at least like Trayvon. So that's 2013. We've been saying Black Lives Matter for a minute.
I want to say it started with Michael Brown.
Yeah, somewhere around like that first half of the 2010s. And it's like we've been saying that shit for a minute. And at the start, all we got was all lives matter or white lives matter or blue lives matter, right? So it's like, not to be like cynical or whatever, but it's just like people are only saying Black Lives Matter now because it's trendy. And think about it, we got our president's not doing anything. Like there's a lot of political instability right now. We got COVID, so there's economic instability, and like I don't know if this is the word, but like health instability. Like people are getting sick, like people are dropping, and like people want to want to open the country back up to get money, but like you got Florida spiking in coronavirus cases and stuff like that. So it's like we got a lot of instability right now. And then when you have these mass layoffs like that, the people that get affected the most are gonna be people of color, most likely Black people. And I want to say maybe like Hispanic people or Latinx people, but it's just like the people that are already disadvantaged become disadvantaged even more when shit like this happens. And you already got like Black people dying the most or at the highest percentage.
I did see a statistic. And by the way, I heard a really cool quote I want to share with you guys. Statistics don't lie. Liars use statistics. But anyway, I did see a statistic that said that the income gap, or the unemployment, I should say, the unemployment levels amongst minority groups, specifically Black Americans, has risen exponentially more than it has among white Americans. So we see who's, like you said, more disproportionately affected.
Yeah, and it's just like you got all that shit. Like people are at home, they're not working. Hopefully they're getting unemployment, but the unemployment system is fucked. So it's just like, you don't know how long that 1,200 goes. Like I'm blessed enough to be able to stretch that 1,200, but it's like somebody else might have like mouths to feed, got rent to pay. Like a lot of landlords are really fucking up too because they need the money too. But it's like I don't know. But that's besides the point. But it's just like we got so much instability going on right now. The last thing that we needed was a cop killing another Black man. So it's just like that was really just like the thing that like just tipped everything over. So it's like this is honestly like a storm coming, and I think people are supporting, or companies. Honestly, people too. Like it. People that have never supported Black Lives Matter before are supporting it now. One, because there's so much instability going on. These businesses aren't making money anyway. So like, man, if we don't support it now, they're gonna remember that shit when things get back together. And it's like they didn't even support, they didn't even support Black Lives Matter like during COVID. And we're also calling for defund the police. And it's like it's a lot like safer to say Black Lives Matter, instead of saying defund the police. Like, Nike will say Black Lives Matter. Like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, they're nothing without Black people. But it's like they're not gonna say defund the police. Like maybe Nike will say, like Nike be on the edge, like, nobody else is gonna say
Nike's on the edge. Nike
so
might say something crazy. So
it's cool that people are that companies are saying Black Lives Matter. And companies are giving like June. I've been celebrating Juneteenth like all my life. So it's like so it's just like it's cool that companies are doing this, but to me it doesn't matter. Like I was talking to my sister about this. I actually posted this on my LinkedIn too. It's just like it's cool. It's cool that you're saying Black Lives Matter. It's cool that Twitter and Facebook and all these things are like giving people Juneteenth. But it's like these are companies that have a like, especially like tech, and I like your computer science. So you might even be in this soon. It's like the tech world is like. It's fucking racist. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like you go up to San Francisco or any other tech hub in the world, you're gonna see like a bunch of white faces and like maybe a couple like women or like some Asian faces or something like
Practically no women.
Yeah, so it's just like it's a very homogenous place. So it's like this, and then like, you look at tech, found like Twitter, Jack Dorsey white, Mark Zuckerberg white. Like, I think Reddit just put a black person on their board after Serena Williams' husband stepped down. But it's just like these are just like white spaces.
I think the biggest thing too, especially because I'm still in school and I'm taking a lot of these STEM classes, I noticed the disparity, and I talked to a lot of people in my NSBE group. Shout out to NSBE if y'all are listening still. You know, that's the National Society of Black Engineers. We talk a lot about how, you know, underrepresented we feel, and just how sometimes it feels like we're the only ones in the room, only black people in the room. And a lot of times, you know, we just feel like, you know, there's a lot of discrimination or, you know, unfair treatment just because, you know, people might not expect much of us. People might have lower expectations. It's the soft bigotry of lower expectations is what it is. And, you know, people think that we're not going to succeed, and people really just don't even like just consider us in the STEM field. I think the way to solve that though is just by better representation. I feel like we need to get these people with power, these people with clout, these people with active, like just who have followings. We need to get these people to like push more people into STEM and try to even the playing field a little bit, because it's really not cool how, you know, it's just the coolest thing ever.
What do you mean pushing more people into STEM?
I feel like right now it's just the coolest thing ever, just like not to do STEM or like to get into music, modeling, acting, you know, producing, you know, or even business. But, you know, everybody can't be straight up just Bill Gates and be this super successful businessman. He's a bad example because he made his money off STEM. But, you know, I'm thinking like somebody, you know, Mark Cuban or something like that. Not everybody can be. No, you can't. I mean, he made his business off of like what, STEM?
Yeah, he set up like some like it was a technology that had to do with like sports and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like he's STEM. But
point is, you can't just get a business degree and become like a top 500 CEO.
And that's true, but it's like at the same time though, if somebody only 8% of the jobs in the world are STEM, 92% are not. So it's like I'm all for somebody just doing what they like, because I feel like I like music, I like producing, I like photography, like I being creative. It's like I know how to code, but it's like if I had to go be a junior engineer at Netflix, I'd be miserable. Like the money would be nice, but it's I feel like if you go for what you really fuck with, like what really makes you happy, you'll definitely be like you know, if doing what I do doesn't make you happy, you can do it, you can be good at it, but you're not going to be as good as you could because you don't really care about it. Like if I had to go code all day and stuff like that, like make, I don't know, like update databases and shit like that, I could be good, but I'm not going to be great because I don't really care about it. So it's like, I mean, I feel you though, because we definitely do need more black faces in tech, but it's not that there aren't. There are a bunch. They're just not getting in the room. So it's not that we need more. We just need.
Well, I will say this though. I will say this. I don't know if there are enough, because I'm taking these STEM classes. I'm in these classes. I'm sitting down in the room, and I'm telling you, like, there are. I don't remember a STEM class where I wasn't the only black guy. Like I don't remember. Like there may have been.
Even with NSBE?
Even with NSBE, dude, because our NSBE group is like, man, I think it's only, I mean, I don't know how many active members are in there, but as far as like how many active members I would say that like I come in contact with, it's probably like 20 at the most.
True.
You got to think this is a school with like 35,000 kids. Think about that for a second. We're like the National Society of Black Engineers, a school with 35,000 kids is probably like 20 active members deep.
And isn't your like branch of like California schools like the most diverse one or something you said?
Yeah, Long Beach is probably like the most or one of the most diverse demographics for a college in the state, but maybe also in the country as well. So, you know, when I sit in a class, a computer science class, and you know, I see that I'm the only black guy there, it does something to you, man, and it does something to the dynamic of the classroom. We were talking about the other day of how we could probably fix that dynamic. One of my suggestions was that at the beginning of every class that you take every semester, STEM classes especially,
Yeah.
we could have like instead of taking the first day to go over the syllabus, we could do that on the second day. We could do the first day just be like not a racial sensitivity training in the fact that there's like a teacher lecturing you, but maybe like splitting kids up into groups and just talking about maybe some of the racial biases that some kids may have. Just making it a safe space for people
Wait,
to
what do
just
you
talk
mean?
about.
Like a white kid saying like I'm uncomfortable around black people or something like that?
I mean, shit, if that's what they want to say, but
Nah, I
not
never say that shit.
not they'd never say that.
Yeah.
But not necessarily that. Just
Yeah.
maybe you know, for a chance for people to be honest, really. You know,
I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's a good idea, but at the same time, like that, I feel like on the first day of school, I don't even want to stand up and say my name and where I'm from and like an interesting hobby. So like the one thing I definitely don't want to talk about is like the time like
it could be an icebreaker though.
It could be, but I don't know. It's just like I don't want to. I like if just like I went to an HBCU, so like there were definitely some white people there, but like any class that I went to, black people were the majority and stuff like that. Maybe like there were a lot of Asians at our school, so sometimes Asians and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's just like and I could be off on this, but it's like when you do that, I feel like it sometimes puts the onus on black people to express the times they've been discriminated against and stuff like that. And it's like I don't know about you, but it's like
and that's what my Nesby group mates were kind of like expressing to me as well, is that then you have, like you said, the onus on the one or two black kids in the room to come up with situations in which they felt discriminated and try to like beg their classmates to try to empathize with them and try to like understand what like where they're coming from and stuff. And that's definitely not what I want to encourage.
Yeah. Because like, if people are getting killed by the police and they're not emphasizing, like me telling you by the time that I was like, called boy or some shit, it's not gonna make you emphasize with me.
No, and that's not what I want people to do. But I think I wanted people to do is definitely like just get into groups at the beginning of every semester and just have like an open and honest dialogue. And I know that people aren't gonna say, "Hey, I'm racist." Yeah. But like it's okay. Like maybe if we said it was okay to just admit that you've had biases, or maybe if you could start with somebody like the professor being super honest, and maybe that might trigger like a chain reaction of honesty within classmates. And then what that might do in effect is the downstream effect of that generationally for the next class of people. Let's say I'm class of 2020. Let's say the next class of 2024 might be like entering this environment where like this stuff is talked about. This stuff is out in the open. So it might still exist, but it's not so hidden anymore. We talk about it and we know what it is. We know what it's about. And we're not afraid to kind of address these things and try to make people feel a little bit more comfortable with sharing their experiences about those things. And that's why I thought that like talking about these things amongst one another at the beginning of every class, one time a semester, every semester, would be ideal to me. But that's just one solution I came up with. I think a lot of other group mates had great solutions as well.
I feel that. It's just I don't know. It's just like I feel like that's nice. It's just like I feel like
it's idealistic.
Yeah, it's very idealistic because it assumes a lot of things. It assumes that the people in the class are like willing to like acknowledge. Because like there have been times like I've done things and I didn't think about it until like years later. Right. So it's just like one, that they're even aware of their biases. Right. That they're willing to acknowledge their biases. That they're willing to talk about them and that they're willing to work on them. Right. It makes a lot of assumptions that oftentimes privileged groups of people are not willing to make or have not acknowledged themselves. Right.
So we've talked a lot about Black Lives Matter and all things regarding social justice and what we can do, and kind of just what happened lately. But what do you think about Kyrie suggesting that people shouldn't go to Disney and play? And then this will be maybe one of our last topics today.
Man. With Kyrie, I was talking to one of my friends, actually, like in one of my group chats about this.
Hold on, let me give people context, just if anybody's still listening, and they kind of just don't know what I'm talking about. Kyrie Irving is a basketball player for the Brooklyn Nets who's currently hurt right now, and he, the NBA is about to resume in Orlando, and they're about to go to a bubble where they can finish out their season, and they kind of want to put their season back on, put it on, televise it. Monetize it and obviously make money off the end of their season, and obviously that's backed by a lot of corporations right now who have a lot of power and could be taking a little bit of clout away from BLM. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of went through like phases of this. Like the first time I saw it on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, I was like, all right, that's cool. Like Because like my thing is, people say like it'll be a distraction or
You
something.
think it's
like
cool
that
Kyrie doesn't want people to go back to play?
I feel it, like, because I understand when people say like, oh, it'll be a distraction, like, people, that's what people want. They want to be able to open a beer and like watch this sporting event and not worry about what's going on outside. And like I was kind of with that at first. I was like, yeah, like, because my thing is like I haven't been like at this point it's June 20th. Like the season would be over. Like the Clippers would be champions anyway. So it's like,
sheesh,
Kawhi was getting that ring. But
that's not a fact.
but
That's
it's
a
just
falsehood.
like it's just like the season would be over at this point anyway, and we haven't watched basketball since what, like February,
Right.
So it's just like since like Rudy Gobert like infected the whole league.
Lake
So
Show.
Anyway, it's just like if it comes back or not, I'm not really tripping.
Lakers taking a chip
Because so much has been disrupted anyway. So if it comes back, cool. But it's just like I feel like at first I felt like not playing. Yeah, that definitely makes a statement. But then if they do play, like I don't know if you've been watching Premier League soccer.
Is it ass?
No, hell no.
Okay.
The Premier League's amazing.
No, I know the league is good, but I'm saying
I mean,
they haven't played in a while.
Yeah, no, some people are rusty, and some teams are good. It's all about the quality of your team.
Right.
But it's like on the back of their jerseys they have Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like that's one thing. And again, even though I said like it's trendy for corporations to support Black Lives Matter. If you're gonna play sports again, that's something that's cool. Like they don't have like I don't know, fucking Sergio Aguero on the back of the jersey. It's Black Lives Matter. It obviously still has your number, but every player has Black Lives Matter. I think for the next like 10 games or something like that. So it's just like that's dope because like you can watch the game, but you're gonna see the back of somebody's jersey and you can't not know what it says.
You can't ignore it.
Yeah, so I feel like they're gonna play, like they're gonna get that money. Disney's gonna get that money.
Oh yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
They might be missing a couple players, but they're not gonna not.
But the thing is, and like I think only like what 20 of the 30 teams are going or something 22. Like that. Yeah, so it's like there are so many ways for them to make a statement. If you don't want to play, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, Kyrie wasn't gonna play regardless. So it's just
that's like, my whole thing with it.
Yeah, but it's like, but I get Kyrie too because like he wants to make a movement, but it's also at the same time.
Kyrie kind of a fool, bro.
Yeah, but I mean I don't know. He's like I'm willing to give it all for social change and stuff like that. But Kyrie has shoes. I'm sure he has like maybe like some clothing sponsors. Right. Like he has a bunch. Like he's made like 20 NBA salaries so far.
So, but my whole issue with the whole thing is Kyrie's not gonna play anyway. Yeah. So let people who are actually gonna play like use their voice.
Well, I mean, Kyrie still has a voice regardless because people want to know what he's gonna do. Right. But it's like I think the NBA out of all the sports league, like definitely not the NFL. Like the NBA, I don't know if they care specifically, but it seems like the NBA does a good job of listening to what the players want. Right. And like Adam Silver, like he's obviously not black, but like I feel like out of all the commissioners across the sport, I feel like he's the one that like respects the players the most and like tries to like understand where black people are coming from. Where he could easily just be like an old man that's like
he's not black, but let's put it this way: I would trade him. I would trade him for Candace Owens.
Don't say it.
I would trade him for Candace Owens.
But it's just like I feel like if any league to come back and pay proper tribute is going to be the NBA because I can see them like. The one idea I floated to my friends is like just like how the Premier League has Black Lives Matter. Right. On the back of the jerseys, I feel like it would be really dope if there have been hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of black people killed by the police, maybe across the world, even in this country. So it's just like they could easily have like I don't know, LeBron comes back on the back of his jersey it says like George Floyd, and then Kawhi comes back on the back of his jersey it says tough.
Let's just say 23 Floyd.
Yeah, it's just something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like the next one says like Breonna Taylor. Yeah. Paul George's jersey says like Ahmaud Arbery. I don't know who else is gonna play.
Also, just letting these guys get a chance to speak. How
exactly.
about that?
So I feel like
just letting them literally talk. Like letting them like literally just take a moment. Like at the beginning of each game, just say what they want to say.
Yeah. So it's like
you can still monetize it, but at the same time, like you can get these guys a platform and still monetize that platform. And you're gonna make hella bank because even their opponents are gonna like want to tune in to see what they have to say. Exactly. So you can let them use their platform, and that's what I was trying to. That was my criticism of Kyrie. You're not playing, but you want to take away other people's platform.
And I don't necessarily have a criticism of Kyrie because I think not playing is a valid option. Like that is the stand. But it's like I feel like there are other ways to make a stand that's just as impactful or even more impactful if you actually go do play and bring even more attention. Because I'll tell you right now, like, first of all, I don't really think there are that many racists watching the NBA, but they're the Utah Jazz exist, so it's just like
as a corporation.
Yeah, so it's just like I feel like there are
like
a bunch
NBA
of ways
team most likely to lynch one of their players.
But it's I don't know,
Utah
it's just
Jazz.
Like, it's just like I just feel like if any league that I feel is gonna come back in a respectful way is gonna be the NBA. That's just how I feel.
For sure.
And like the NFL, hell no.
No.
But the NBA.
Honestly, the NFL need to go on like a hiatus for you.
They need to get their shit figured out. They got like Drew Brees. And like my man's texting me, he's like, "Did you see what Drew Brees said?" And I was like, "Nah, what he say?" I don't even remember what he said. Something about like his grandfather serving in the army or some shit like that, like loving the flag.
Like no black people serving in the army.
Yeah, and like not even that. It's like, why are you surprised? Like I feel like Drew Brees said something like that when Colin Kaepernick was doing his thing. Like my thing is like people look at.
I think he did say some shit.
Yeah, like it's like why? I was like, is this a new? Like, are they repeating this? Like, did he say this again? Like my thing is like, why are you surprised? People be like, did you see what Jerry Jones said? Why are you surprised that Jerry Jones? How old did you
Jerry Jones walked on Selma.
That's.
I can't believe he would say something like this.
Oh my god, he's probably buying the Cowboys when they were walking on Selma, bro.
For real.
And it's just like people be so surprised. People be surprised.
Jerry Jones probably owned a couple segregated restaurants back in his
day. He probably used to love walking through the whites only door. Oh, it looks nice in here. But it's just like
you smell that?
But it's just like, yo, like people be surprised when people that have never shown them any different say some shit that fits their character. Like if Drew Brees said like, "I love the flag," I'd be like, "Okay, Drew Brees, I expected that." Like I wouldn't be like, "Oh, Drew Brees, how would you say that?" Like it's fucking Drew Brees. Right. Now, like if LeBron says like, "I don't agree with what Kaepernick did,"
right?
Then I'm like, "Yo, Ron, what you on?" Yeah. Like Drew Brees,
he's smoking on.
Yeah, like Tom Brady has like a "Make America Great Again" hat.
But you know what? Tom Brady actually came out in defense of like BLM and everything.
That's dope. That's dope. But it's trendy right now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So
what your ass was that?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the Patriots again. Like the Patriots. Like nah, bro. I'm like, come on. Jeez. So it's just like I feel like, and I guess it's a little off topic, but it's just like people be getting upset and been out of shape over people that be doing the things that they already look like they do.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like Drew
Brees. We didn't expect any better.
Yeah, he got like Alvin Kamara and all the people like he dancing and like all that kind of shit. But it's like he's still Drew Brees. Like.
Well, I will say this before we change topics. I think he did kneel like one time.
That's dope.
Or maybe a couple times back in 2016 when it all started.
And then he could have just. So it's like if he kneeled, what was he kneeling for?
That's the whole thing. I guess he realized later in that same year that he was being disrespectful. But it's like you were for the shit before you were against it. So
but that's what I'm saying. Like if you're gonna kneel and then you're gonna say what you just said now, like what's the truth? Like are you really about kneeling? Or are you
he don't know, man. He's just pandering.
Exactly. So, and that's what I'm saying.
He's just pandering. So on to the last topic, man. I just wanted to say real quick: is it even safe to play basketball right now with COVID?
It's not safe to do shit right now, bro.
For real,
it's not safe. Like people in like I watch the news, I listen to the news, so like I know somewhat of what's going on in like England and France and Spain and Italy and stuff like that. Like, they still have COVID too, but I think besides England, because they have a leader that's just like Trump, but it's just like it seems like I think Spain's leader may be a bit conservative, but at least like Emmanuel Macron of France, like he's pretty liberal, and it's just like it seems like he's done a good job of handling what's going on. Obviously, it's not out of France by any means, but if I remember correctly, they began to open up, and like I don't know the numbers, but I'm imagining they're handling it better than we are. And it's just like people in America, and I don't want to generalize. Actually, I think the thing about social media is like we see the things that get amplified are just the people that go to the club and go to brunch and like being like pools with like 20 deep and all that kind of stuff, having pool parties like nothing's going on. So like I feel like most people are playing it safe and stuff like that, wearing masks, hand sanitizer. Like
they just want to highlight the crazy shit that they're doing.
Yeah. But at the same time, Florida has the highest amount of new cases. I think North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, like the cases are going up, and it's like I understand, like like my birthday's coming up. Like I want to be able to see my friends. I want to go do what I want to do. I want to be able to get on an airplane and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like shit ain't safe. And
Nah,
it's just
right now.
like, yeah, and especially like, you know,
Yeah.
like we're black and it's like it's killing black people.
It really is.
And it's like I got older people in my family, so it's like I'm young.
You
I
gotta
can
watch
be
out. Yeah, you be straight.
yeah, I can be asymptomatic. Maybe I can
Yeah,
pull through,
carry
but
it
it's
to
like I
somebody.
don't know if I go around like my dad or something, and then
Yeah.
like he gets it. He's in his 60s, like that could take him out. And
For sure.
it's like I'm really not even worried about myself. I'm worried about more affecting my elders,
Yeah.
like my loved ones. Not even my loved ones, just like anybody really, just
For
anybody
real.
that I run up on the street. And it's just like I don't want that on me. And it's like
For real.
I understand people want to live their lives, but in like the big picture, a year is not a long
Not
time.
a long time.
We're already halfway through this year, and it's like I'd rather sit out for the rest of the year and be able to do what I want to do in 2021 than
Because you know that second wave coming.
yeah, the second wave is gonna be brutal because
Yeah.
and like it's just I mean
So-
I don't know who's gonna be the president actually. Well, Trump will still be the president,
Probably.
but maybe he'll lose the election or something.
Hopefully.
But it's just like it's not a good look. And like I've never at this time I've never been more embarrassed to be an American than I am right now. Bro.
It's bad.
This shit is bad right now, bro.
It's
Like I mean,
bad.
like, I've never been like quote unquote proud to be an American, but
Right.
like I've always known what it means to be a Black American.
Right.
But it's like I've never been more unhappy
Yeah.
to be a fucking American right now. Like, this
As
shit is
far
such
as
a
it
bad
goes
look,
with just
bro.
like basketball specifically, though,
Not safe.
I think it's not safe. But I
Yeah.
think once what they're gonna do is they're gonna put everybody in a bubble.
Mhm.
Everybody's gonna go in,
Yeah.
and they're all gonna inhabit this bubble,
Yeah.
and then they're going to pretty much make sure that you can't get in and out.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna fuck with a lot of people
Yeah.
real heavy because they don't really want to. I don't think a lot of people who are used to having a ton of mobility and traveling all the time are gonna be okay with suddenly just staying in one place
Bro,
for 3
I
months.
can tell you exactly what you're gonna see. Right? You're gonna see like fucking Carmelo Anthony spotted in Miami nightclub outside the bubble.
It ain't that far.
outside the bubble.
It ain't that far.
Like there are definitely gonna be some rule breakers, but I think like
Who do you think the first person to test positive is gonna be?
they're not gonna release that.
Yeah, they
but-
will. Yeah, they will.
Nah, they're not gonna.
Yeah,
say
they
that.
will. Because if they test positive, they're gonna have to sit out for a while at least. And then
That's true.
people are gonna be like, "Why is so and so sitting
They'll be
out?
like, see, why hasn't CJ McCollum played?
Why isn't LeBron playing?
Yeah, exactly.
LeBron has not played in these past
Yeah.
3 playoff games.
And
What's going on?
fucking Skip and Shannon.
Yeah, skip
But
it.
it's just like
That's all they talk about.
yeah, but it's just like I don't know who'll be the first one to test positive, but there are definitely going to be rule breakers. And like
Yeah.
I get it, like, but again, like they're saying like I don't know,
Well,
like 5-star hotels and all that kind of
yeah.
shit. But again, like if there's any organization that I think can do it right and put the proper because they released like a
the
100-page
NBA.
document of like how to do this shit.
Yeah.
It'll be the NBA.
I mean, they were the first ones to close.
Yeah. They're on
So
it, bro.
so they're talking about like putting tracker rings on
Mhm,
people's
mhm,
finger and stuff.
mhm.
Well, not tracker rings. Supposedly they're gonna be COVID detection rings.
Yeah.
But people have
Some kind of
speculated. People have speculated that they're gonna slip a GPS device in there and try to figure out where people are sleeping and going
Mhm.
and shit. So that's
Mhm.
gonna be pretty interesting, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was our first, or I guess you could call it inaugural.
We're not talking about Hinge.
Oh, you want to talk about Hinge? Sheesh. We can say that for episode 2.
All right.
Talk about Hinge on episode 2,
Yeah,
man.
we'll turn up episode 2.
And millennial dating, man. So if
Yeah.
y'all stay tuned, man, we're gonna talk about dating, relationships, and whatever else we really feel like it next time. So y'all just stay tuned, and I hope y'all enjoyed. Stay blessed.
All right, bro.
Because I told her I painted like one time, and have you?
Painted?
Yeah,
Telling these girls you paint?
bro, I've painted before.
Everybody's painted.
I'm not lying, bro. I'm not.
Everybody's painted.
So this would be a funny ass podcast conversation. I'm not lying. Hold on. Let's hold this. Let's hold this thought, bro. Let's hold this thought.
Yeah, I'm 6'4". I play a dude. Can I paint? Yeah, I do it all.
I'm varsity, but they wouldn't start me. I also wasn't in the gym either. I was just
there.
I was varsity, just unofficially, just for my
I knew
house.
Zion.
I just
Yeah, I knew Zion. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I actually told him the Pelicans wouldn't be too bad.
I just talked to him last week. I don't know why I don't tell these girls more that I'm friends with you, because you was taking pictures.